So I guess I'm finally making this video that's like kind of always been on my mind. Is something I guess I would maybe make one day, but I don't know. Now feels about right, so guess I'm gonna drop this bombshell. I'm a f***ing moron. I don't know shit. You should not take anything I say seriously, because I'm not an expert on anything I talk about. I'm just some dude on the internet who just tries to make people have a good time. At the end of the day, it's really hard to even approach the topic of these sort of parasocial relationships and these people who feel like they know a creator, or that a creator owes their sort of brand or their job to these people, to the fans, right? I know in a couple of my videos already I've kind of championed the notion of the fans, but you can respect your fans without being completely subservient to them, and you can also be a fan of a creator without being completely AWOL about it. I don't think that's some kind of crazy balance that is like impossible to have. I mean, most people are normal people. You only ever really hear about the crazy people, the crazy extremes of creators who are completely just taking full advantage of their fan bases and completely screwing them over, selling out to these scams to then completely get one over on their fans because they don't give a shit about their fans. Or the inverse, where it's fans who are so obsessive to the point where they're stalking, to the point where they feel like they know the creator themselves and are, crossing that line, crossing that barrier. This happens a lot with faceless creators where people prefer to have their privacy. I mean, my face isn't out there. It will be one day, probably. I don't know if it will be because I want it to be, because I'm ready, or if it's because something happens. My money's on something happening. But there are legitimate reasons as to why people, especially nowadays, when so much more of daily life is consumed by people on the internet and, the term terminally online is literally a thing, it kind of makes sense that people are sort of a little bit more paranoid and want to have a little bit more of that privacy that they oh so desire. Because once you have your face out there, and once it's confirmed that it's yours, there's no going back. You can't undo that, especially if you are a sort of a big personality. And sometimes you don't get to make that decision. And it's one thing if you even do, but it's again, another thing if you don't get to make that choice for yourself. And then you're sort of thrust into this reality where, well, that's it. That's that. It feels like lately with the rise of things like stan culture that a lot of people feel like they actually are friends with the creators. They know them on a personal level. They're actually like homies. Like, we go way back. Like, I've been watching this person for 10 years. That means that I like totally know everything about them. I know their personal life. I know their daily life. I know their interests. I know their hates. I know their wants. I know their desires. No, you don't. Dude, you don't know shit. Like, these people online, these people are just people. And even if someone is quite literally live streaming every single moment of their life to you, you will never know what's going on inside their mind. Because here's the thing that a lot of people don't ever really sort of consciously think about, right? When you're making content on the internet, you kind of do that thing. It's this weird thing called trying to be entertaining. When you know a camera's on you, you kind of switch up a little bit. Some people it's more noticeable than others, and some people are a lot better at hiding it than others. But people want to, above all, not be boring. They don't want to be that person who's the weakest link in the chain. If everyone is having a good time, they're more likely to pretend to have a good time, even if they aren't. You never really know what's going on inside someone's head. So don't pretend like you do. Because there's nothing that like pisses me off more than seeing all these armchair like Reddit psychologists, and YouTube comments do it too, and Twitter comments do it especially, and if you still use Tumblr throwback, people do it there too. Always have. It's just something that I guess has kind of annoyed me. And with a lot of the sort of recent events going on, I felt like I guess it's maybe appropriate to make this video to say that I'm not an expert on anything. So I don't really know what I'm talking about most of the time unless I explicitly say I do. So don't take anything I say too seriously. Because at the end of the day, you don't know me, and I don't know you.